Hello everybody, so today I'm going to be talking about probably my favourite topic ever, which is skincare. And I've been trying to film a skincare routine for a really long time. It feels like it's been a good couple of months, but things have been changing and I've been trying out new things and I haven't really settled for anything in particular. So I thought I'm just going to show you what I'm using. I'm not going to go through my kind of morning, evening and skincare routine exactly as I do it because it does change from day to day and I tend to kind of just listen to what my skin needs, and instead of using a set routine of products day after day that don't change, I kind of just go with the flow, see how I'm feeling, see what I want to use. And I've also found doing it like that has really helped strip down my routine, so I definitely don't use as many things as I used to, but I've really just stuck to the things that I know work for my skin and that I enjoy using and I see a difference with. So first of all, I'm just going to mention what my skin type is. It's basically, it kind of changes a lot. It's very temperamental with the weather and hormones and things like that, but it generally tends to be quite dry with an oily T-zone. So I get dry patches, my skin feels very dehydrated most of the time, but I can get a kind of oilier nose, oilier chin and cheeks when I'm wearing makeup for a long time. So it's a bit combination, but it's definitely more on the drier side now that I've gotten older, unfortunately. So starting off with cleansers, and it is very dependent on whether or not I'm wearing makeup as to which cleanser I pick. So if I am wearing makeup, I will of course best take it off with a micellar water, and I love micellar waters. I think they work so well, they really do just dissolve away your makeup and keep your skin nice and fresh, ready for cleansing. And my favourite at the moment is the Nivea 3-in-1 Sensitive Micellar Water, Cleansing Water, long name. I really like this one. I think it's an amazing budget price. It's about £3, something like that, so you can probably buy about 10 of these for the price of Bioderma, and it definitely works just as well, if not better. I really like the way this one feels. It's quite moisturising as well as really kind of taking off your makeup. Really great for sensitive skin as well. I find this is nice and soothing and cooling, so definitely my micellar water of choice at the moment. And then I go on to my cleanser after that, and if I'm wearing makeup, if I have been wearing makeup, I want something that's going to be a bit more deeply cleansing, so I will usually go for the Oskia Renaissance Cleansing Gel. I love this one. It's a really lovely, balmy, rich cleanser, but because it's in a pump bottle, it's so much easier to get out, so much more convenient, and it's just slightly more slippery. It kind of works around the skin a bit better, so you can really massage this in, and it has a really beautiful texture to it. It breaks down makeup really well, so any excess makeup that you have on your skin, it just gets rid of, and it is very deeply cleansing, so good if you have been wearing makeup or just at the end of the day when you've got grime and dirt and just the whole day on your face that you want to take off. This also has fruit enzymes. I think it's pumpkin enzymes in it, so it does also help to exfoliate your skin. If you leave this on for a little bit longer than necessary, it almost works as an exfoliating mask, which can be really nice. It just helps to get rid of any dry patches and soften the skin as well. So this is just probably one of my #1 all-time favourite cleansers. If I haven't been wearing makeup though, or if it's just in the morning when I've woken up and I very recently cleansed my skin before I went to bed, I've been using the Ren Gentle Cleansing Milk. I really like this one. It's a very softening, very cooling and soothing option, and especially when I wake up, I don't know if you feel like this too, my skin is just always very irritated and sore where I've been rubbing it across the pillow all night, probably because I sleep in some very, very awkward positions apparently. It's just so gentle. It really does help to soften and cool your skin down, and it's a lot thinner than the Oskia Renaissance Cleansing Gel. It is just a very thin, milky texture, but I think that's quite nice when you haven't really got anything to take off your skin and you just want to make sure it's nice and clean. So toner is a step that I very rarely use these days. I think it's just down to me being generally quite forgetful when it comes to it, but it isn't really something that I feel my skin needs all of the time. If I am going to use one though, it tends to be more in the evenings when I give my skin a bit more care and attention and time, and the one I always reach for is the Neal's Yard Rehydrating Rose Toner. This in itself is just so beautiful. I love all the Neal's Yard packaging. The little blue glass bottles just looks so pretty on your skincare shelf. This is a very balancing, very refreshing toner. It feels really gentle, very soothing and very cooling. I think that's quite a theme when it comes to my skincare products. I just like them to feel very soothing and very nice on my skin. And this one just gets rid of any excess cleanser, any excess product or makeup that's still left on my skin, and it just gets my skin ready for moisturisers and serums and things like that. So not a massively important step, but it is quite a nice, enjoyable one to use. So having a quite dry skin type, I always try to make sure that my products are tailored to just balancing that out, keeping things very hydrated and very moisturised, but at the same time not feeling very sticky or like they're just sitting on top of my skin. I can't stand skincare products that don't sink in. I like to feel nice and fresh and like there isn't a lot of product on there. So one of my favourite products when it comes to skincare is hyaluronic acid, and I always talk about this. I go on and on about it, and I really enjoy using it in serums. So the serum that I'm using at the moment is the Pestle and Mortar Pure Hyaluronic Serum. This is a very similar one to Hydraluron and the Chapman Intense Hydrating Booster, all products that I've really enjoyed using in the past. past, and this one kind of sits somewhere in between the two actually. It's definitely not as terrifyingly priced as the Sarah Chapman one, but it works in a very similar way. It has a very similar texture, and it's slightly more expensive than the Hydraluron, but I think it works a lot better. It's got this very thick, almost gel-like consistency to it, and it just sinks straight into your skin to the point where you can barely feel like it's on there at all. But what it's doing is creating a kind of barrier between your skin and your moisturiser, and it almost acts like a super glue, just drawing all the moisture from that into your skin, so it kind of just keeps all that nice hydration in there. So I've just really been enjoying using this one. I think it just leaves my skin so plumped and firm and juicy feeling, and that's definitely a great feeling to have when you have dry skin. So this is a really, really great one. I definitely recommend trying this out if you can't quite afford the Sarah Chapman one. I love the packaging too. Anything with a pipette just has me sold instantly. So in the evenings I do prefer a slightly richer product on my skin. I just know that I can kind of let it breathe, let a lot of moisture sink into it, and I'm not going to be wearing makeup that's going to interfere with anything, so I really like to pile on the moisture. And there's a product that I've been using very recently that I'm just obsessed with. I need to talk about it, it's so beautiful. It's from Sunday Riley and it's the Lunar Sleeping Night Oil. I'm very into nighttime overnight products, overnight masks, overnight oils, things like that, and this one is really, really interesting. It basically is bright blue. I don't know if you can see that in the pipette, but it comes out blue, almost like a greeny blue, which is a very interesting colour for a skincare product to have, and that's because of the blue tansy in it, which is a very interesting ingredient as well. It basically just refines and brightens and really helps to deal with any little dehydration lines, any fine lines on the skin. It just gives it a nice plumped and glowing look, and that's always something that I look for in a product. For those that are concerned with the blue colour and it dyeing your skin, don't worry, as soon as you start to massage it in, the colour fades, and once it's all gone, you know that it's worked into your skin properly. I can safely say from the first time I used this, I woke up and my skin just looked better. It looked even, any redness was gone, my dehydration lines on my forehead were very faded and kind of blurred, and my skin was just glowing. It looked so radiant and fresh and beautiful, and I think the effects are definitely reflected in the price, unfortunately. I think this is probably one of the most expensive beauty products I've ever owned, but I think it's so worth it. I think when it comes to investing in skincare products, facial oils really are the way to go. They just do so much for your skin. They really make the most noticeable difference, I think, of any other product, and this one is just such a beautiful quality, beautiful product. I really, really love it. So let's talk about eye creams, and I generally tend to use two different eye creams, one in the morning, one in the evening, and the one that I use before makeup, if I'm going to be wearing any makeup, is the Bobbi Brown Hydrating Eye Cream, and this just makes such a brilliant primer for concealer. It's a very light, very liquidy eye cream, but it still hydrates really well. It gets rid of any little lines, any dehydration lines under your eyes, and it helps makeup go on really smoothly. It doesn't disrupt anything. It doesn't make your concealer crease any more than it usually would do. I think this is a brilliant one for pre-makeup skincare. And then in the evenings I turn to something a lot richer, a lot more hydrating, and it's the Kiehl's Creamy Eye Treatment with Avocado that I generally tend to turn to. This is a really rich, really lovely eye cream. It's definitely not one to be worn underneath makeup. It really does pack a punch. It's definitely one of those products that you can still feel working after a good couple of hours. Even once you've gone to bed and woken up again in the morning, I can still sometimes feel it under there, hydrating and just keeping my eyes nice and protected. So it's a brilliant one if you do have very dry, dehydrated skin under there. So the moisturisers that I use on a daily basis are also from Kiehl's. I'm definitely a Kiehl's girl through and through. I love their skincare products, and I generally pick between these two. I have the Skin Rescuer Stress Minimising Daily Hydrator, and then the Ultra Facial Cream. I've talked about this one quite a lot in my previous skincare videos, but the main difference between the two I find is that this one is slightly richer and this one is a little bit lighter on my skin. So I generally tend to pick between the two depending on how my skin actually feels. At the moment I've been favouring the Skin Rescuer a lot more, just because I think we're coming into slightly warmer weather. It's almost summer now and my skin doesn't need quite as much moisture as it did before, so this one tends to be a little bit richer than I necessarily need. This one is great for the evening, so again just piling on the moisture and the hydration overnight. I really enjoy using it then. Both of them though work brilliantly underneath makeup. They never unsettle anything and never leave my skin feeling extra shiny or too greasy, so I really love them, and I think I will be switching between the two for many, many years to come. In the morning as well, I do like to double things up with an extra SPF on top of my moisturiser, so the Skin Rescuer tends to kind of work better underneath a second product. This one is the Radical Skincare Skin Perfecting Screen SPF 30, and I think it's so important to protect your skin. I actually mentioned this a little bit in my last video, my April favourites, but I think putting SPF on every day is such a good thing to do, and especially as it is a lot sunnier now, I definitely noticed that I need it. I've started to get freckles freckles on my nose, and I never used to get those before, so that's very interesting. I do love freckles though, I wish I had more of them. This is probably one of the thinnest SPFs that I've ever come across, and it's really lovely to use under makeup because of that, but it's not one that is very mattifying or that dries down a lot, and I think that's a quite uncomfortable texture to use on your skin. It's just nice and hydrating, sinks in really well, but you can still really protect your skin with it, so definitely one of my favourite SPFs. So finally I have two last skincare products that I use on a slightly less regular basis. I'd kind of class them as extras, and they're both masks. So the one that I tend to use most of the two is the Glycolactic Radiance Renewal Mask, and this just makes for such a brilliant exfoliator, and I've almost kind of abandoned all my exfoliating toners, things like that, literally just for this. It really has replaced all of those, and it just works 10 times better than any of them. It's so helpful for dry patches, it really softens down my skin, and it just exfoliates really well without using anything too abrasive like a scrub or anything polish like that I really don't like to go near. I think people generally tend to be a bit scared of using things with glycolic in them, but this is such a nice gentle one. You really can't feel it on your skin. It doesn't do any damage at all, and I think especially as it's coming from Ren, they just do gentle skincare products so well. And the second mask is for times when I just want to really nourish my skin, and it's the Antipodes Aura Manuka Honey Mask. I've talked about this quite a lot in the past. This one is in a beautiful new package, so it looks very nice and not all crumpled up like my old one. I love Manuka honey as an ingredient. It's very antibacterial, very soothing, very anti-inflammatory, but it's also a very deeply cleansing mask and very purifying, but at the same time very hydrating too. So it's quite a different one. It's not something that I've really ever come across before. It really cleanses the skin, but it also keeps it very moisturised at the same time. Smells absolutely beautiful, really sweet and lovely, and I think it's just probably my favourite mask of all time. So those are all my favourite skincare products at the moment, and a little bit of an insight into my routine and how I use them. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. Let me know what your favourite skincare products are. As a skincare lover, I'm always on the lookout to try new things as well. So leave those in the comments below, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you all soon. Bye!